Hola amigos, it's David Lisot. I'm here in Scottsdale, Arizona at the U.S. Mexican Numismatic Association Coin Convention. Once again, collectors and dealers specializing in Mexican coins and coinage of Latin America have come to buy, sell, and trade this interesting area of numismatics. Once again, we walk around the room and talk to the dealers and collectors to find out what sort of cool coins they've brought for you, our viewers.
I mean, here we are at the U.S. Mex Convention in 2015, and I thought some things that would be appropriate would be a couple of hook neck 8 reals. They're called hook neck 8 reals because they have the profile eagle or with a hooked neck, whereas in the later years they have a profile eagle that is upright. These only really were produced in Mexico City the first 2 years of the Republic after they ousted Iturbide, Durango, and then one other mint, Guanajuato, which is really rare. The interesting thing about these, it's the first real use of the profile eagle, the hook neck eagle on a coin, and it's the arms of Mexico. That's what you see on a Mexican flag today, is the design that's on these coins that is, you know, the first real dollar-sized coins of that country as a republic after they've ousted Iturbide and the Spanish, and it's the Republic of Mexico.
How tough is it to find coins fully struck?
Fully struck is one thing. Getting full feathers on the eagle's breast is a really tough thing. Keep in mind that you're talking about the first year of operation in these mints. Sometimes striking pressure is an issue. And 8 reals in Mexico, the Republic type, were produced from 1823 up into the 1890s, so they circulated for an awful long time. Finding them fully struck up and in good quality, nice luster, it's not an easy feat. You really have to search for a nice coin.
Why the difference in eagles?
Difference in eagles from the different mints. Basically, at this time, the dies were not master prepared like they would be later on. In later years, you'd have the Mexico City Mint would prepare dies, hubs, punches, and ship them out to the other mints. Earlier on, the mints were doing it themselves or getting it from outside sources.
What kind of value?
What kind of value? These are pretty rare grades for these. I would say that the Durango hook neck in a mint state grade is high 4 figures, and the Mexico City in an AU kind of grade is probably low 4 figures.
First time this year, the Bank of Mexico has issued a reverse proof for their 1-ounce coin. Now, this is the first time ever. This was a conceptual project between the Bank of Mexico and APMEX. The coin was, the project was started about 2 years ago and came to light this year. The project between APMEX and the Bank of Mexico produced 500 2-coin sets with the reverse proof and the 1-ounce proof in that set. Both are 1-ounce coins. However, the entire mintage for the coin is 1,500 pieces. The other 1,000 pieces went into a 3-piece bank set that was intended strictly for the Bank of Mexico employees. Now, we've been able to go ahead and obtain a few of those sets, which we've brought to the United States and introduced to the market, and they've been highly successful simply because of the lack of availability and because of the presence of that 1-ounce reverse proof in the set. I predict that because of the first year of issue and because of the uniqueness of the 1-ounce reverse proof, it'll become a very key coin going forward, you know, for the Libertad series. And we're excited to be the one of the few having availability to that coin, much to the surprise of the Bank of Mexico and to other dealers. So give us a call.
What kind of value?
Right now, the 3 coin set, we introduced it to our clients at $400. On eBay, that set has been selling as high as $650.
This is a Carlos Iguana half real. Not only is it a Carlos Iguana half real, which is a very difficult coin to begin with, this is the first style that was designed and struck in the New World. It is Assayer P, who is the scarcest of the assayers of the early period. We know it was struck sometime around 1542. And so it's a highly desirable collector's coin because of its historical significance.
For those of our viewers that don't know, why was an assayer needed on the coinage?
That because the assayers were certifying that the coin had the correct amount of silver and that silver was the correct fineness for that particular issue. Yeah.
And why is Carlos and Johanna so scarce?
Well, because they made 4 reales and 2 reales. The smaller denominations, the half and the 1, are hard to find because they were making more for shipment back to Spain than they were for local use. And so the ones that did go into were struck for the local use were generally not kept for very long, simply because they kept making newer models and newer types and newer styles. And Carlos Iguana was only struck between 1542 and 1556, basically, And then starting in that interim period between 56 and 72, they started making what we call Cobbs, and the Mexican market calls them macuquinas, which are better dies, but hand struck. And so, yeah.
What kind of value?
This coin is worth about $2,250. Yeah.
This is the Cinco Peso, and it has a picture of the Aztec chief, Cuauhtémoc, on the cover, and he was a very famous Aztec warrior. And it's a really cool coin we have in our collection. It's my favorite because the design is beautiful with the chief's hat and everything. And he fought in a very, Spain conquered him, that they had to work very hard to do that because he was an amazing chief.
And what kind of value on the coin?
Well, we have it priced at $30.
The 1732 date is critical and very important date, obviously, for all Hispanic coinage. It was a transition year. Philip V of the Bourbon dynasty, which is still reigning in Spain today, took reign again and established or issued law, the decree, to start bust coinage and at the same time, give away with the Cobbs. Cobbs, the coins have been Cobbs until then, and starting in 1732, we start with the milled modern, you can call the first modern coinage of America, and that year was the first pillar dollar that was struck in the first series of pillar dollars in all denominations, and the minors, and same with the gold coins. And so obviously these are essentially the first silver dollars of the New World. So it's incredibly important, and we have very special specimens of this series coming up, part of the Rudman collection, and we have every denomination. We've sold the denominations in the gold denominations, and now we are presenting the silver that are just fabulous coins and very important historically. So,
why are they so scarce?
First year striking, the mintages weren't that large to begin with, and then of course there was a 1733 shipwreck, which brought a lot of these down to the bottom of the ocean, and you do see them see salvaged. It's quite common to see them, but to see them in mint state condition and original surfaces and as it looked pretty much for the last 300 years is quite something quite special that we're happy to present to the collecting world.
And what kind of estimates on the values?
Based on records, the 8 reals is probably a coin that will sell in the 6 figures. We sold a similar but slightly inferior example for 85,000. The 4s are a big unknown and very interesting coins because they never appear, especially the one with no letter, the no letter variety. So, you know, we'll put conservative estimates and let the bidders decide how much it will end up.
The biggest highlight for the hearts is this coin here. It is an 8 reales heart, the largest denomination made. It is unholed, beautifully toned, and has a long pedigree. It is also a beautiful shape. It is nicely balanced, and it has just a perfect alignment on both sides. It's everything that you could ask for in one of these coins. Also in the catalog, we feature an article that I wrote about the possible intention for these pieces and the reason for their being, which oddly enough ties into a French nun in the late 1600s. So it's a very interesting story. In addition to the story, there's also a tabulation of all the known dates, all the known specimens actually of each of the denominations, which is a surprisingly low number. It's many fewer than we ever figured.
What kind of value?
This coin, I believe, starts at $70,000. We believe it will go upwards of 100, and we have smaller denominations that will go as low as maybe $2,000, but there are several in there that are 5-figure coins. Next, I would like to feature as a representative of our ingots section, which is one of the exclusive things that we have in all of our auctions. This is a gold ingot from a shipwreck. The shipwreck is known as La Luz. It was found in the Uruguay, off of Uruguay in the River Plate. This was sold originally in a 1993 Sotheby's auction, and it was sold as a complete ingot. But in the intervening years, it has separated. There was a crack, but it is completely separated now, and what is interesting is that where it was cracked, you can see encrustation from the sea. So it was very clearly ready to go before it ever was brought up from the ocean. Very nice markings, a very nice shape, and also a good size. It's about 22 ounces. Then in the artifacts section, one of the features we have is this little gold box, which has got a beautiful hunting scene on it. Very well crafted, nice, solid, bright gold, a lot of encrustation in the crevices. But what I like about this piece is the story behind it, which is that the lid for this box was found at a separate time and was actually divided to the state of Florida. It is permanently impounded in the museum in the state of Florida, whereas this box is free to be bid upon and owned by anybody. The other part of the story is that the state of Florida has this cataloged as a different shipwreck entirely from 100 years later. An error that they would like to fix, but the problem is then you'd have to figure out why the error cropped up in the first place. But in any case, it's a beautiful piece, and we certainly know that the next owner will enjoy looking at the design and thinking about the whole story behind this. This came from the 1715 fleet on the east coast of Florida, which is also one of the highlights of this auction because we are in the 300th anniversary of the 1715 fleet this year, and throughout the rest of the year we expect the interest to be very high.
We've got, you know, a nice assemblage of coinage, but a few coins that I thought were particularly nice is lot 39351. It's an 1842 Mexico 4 Escudo from the David O'Hara collection. It's the only one graded at NGC or PCGS thus far. And, you know, it's a nice looking coin. It's got a lot of flash and luster to it. It's lightly toned. you know, David O'Hara was a numismatic scholar who's been collecting and writing for decades. He wrote the book about hook neck coinage of Mexico. It's a standard reference book. It's very, very well laid out and documented.
Why is it scarce?
It's a scarce denomination. The most common denominations for the gold are typically 8, 2s, and 1s. As you know, so for Escudo across the board is generally a scarcer to rarer type.
What kind of value on the for Escudo?
Since it is a scarcer type and a rarer type, it's estimated in the auction catalog at 6,000 to 8,000. Another coin that we have, I thought was particularly nice. It's on a nice big planchet. It's fully struck up, or really well struck up. It's a Philip III 8 real Cobb. It's lot 39333. This is also from the David O'Hara collection. It exhibits pretty much everything you could want from a Cobb issue. You know, you've got a nice full shield. You've got a nice cross and with the lions and castles. You've got a lot of the legend. You don't have all of the legend, but you have a lot of the legend there. It's a nice example of a Cobb.
For our viewers that don't know, why is it so crudely struck?
Cobbs are not like modern coins. Modern coins are what you would refer to as milled coins. Cobbs, and with similar coins earlier, like medieval or ancient coins, are typically struck by hand. You've got an anvil die, which would be what you would set the planchet on, the blank planchet, and you've got the hammer die, which is the die that you use to set on the coin and strike it with the hammer. So Cobbs, because they're manufactured in such a crude way, oftentimes they're double struck, they're poorly struck, they're unevenly struck. You get 20% of the design aspects on a coin that, you know, has way more than just that, but you get mostly flat flans, you know, there's all kinds of things that are due to striking deficiencies.
What kind of value on the Cobb?
The Cobb, it's I think it's estimated like $500 to $700 in the auction catalog, which it's not an expensive coin. I just thought it was really nice and I wanted to showcase it.
If you like this video, we're sure you'll love these 3 videos. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. CoinWeek is the #1 source online for all things numismatic. Visit www.coinweek.com to take your hobby to the next level.